Hey, what's up, everybody? I hope you guys are doing good today. I am doing well. So, this is part two of a rant or a recap, whatever, child, and this whole Shirley Strawberry situation with her and her husband Ernest, and these leaked phone calls. Now, I do want to correct something that I said in the first video. This is not her first marriage. I thought this was Shirley's first marriage. This is not her first marriage, so I just wanted to correct myself there. But this got to be the worst marriage ever. Right? This got to be one of the worst marriages ever that I've ever laid eyes on. But this is part two, and we're going to go over some of the other phone calls. Basically, parts 5 through 7. If you go over to the YouTube channel, Phone Calls from Jail, they do have all of the phone calls between Shirley and Ernest that occurred last year on into, I think, the early parts of this year. So sit back, relax, get a glass of wine. We are going to get back into it, and then I think I'm going to post this one. Maybe I could get it up Friday afternoon. And then we will move on to the next set of phone calls. So, yeah, y'all settle in. All right, y'all. So, in parts 5 through 7 of these calls, we have Steve Harvey's name coming up for the first time. So Shirley did let Steve know what's going on with all of this. She needed to let him know. That is her boss. That is who the main host of course, the Steve Harvey Morning Show. So she did let Steve know what was going on. Steve has basically advised Shirley to figure out everything that she knows of that is going on with this case and then move accordingly. Now, prior to Steve giving her some more advice, Shirley and the rest of the radio co-hosts, they go to Steve's home, right? Take a tour of his home. And so she's on the phone with Ernest talking about all of these different things that Marjorie has in the home. She has a full spa. And when Ernest asks if Steve was there, I mean, not Steve, Marjorie was there at the time that they were there, she says, oh no, she sees us as the help. And then she goes on to talk about Steve and his breathing as he goes up the steps. And she also talks about how she would love to have something like that in the home. She also mentions that she believes that Steve is scared of Marjorie, which was funny. Listen, y'all, we all probably have said something about a coworker or a boss. The only difference between us and Shirley is Shirley was on tape, okay, on these phone calls saying it. Hence the situation that has now happened on the Steve Harvey Morning Show, which I'm going to discuss later. I want to keep it, in the present moment. We're going to go through each moment. So, Shirley, that part was actually funny what she was talking about, because I think we all believe Steve is a little bit scared of Marjorie, honestly. But she just described how beautiful their home was and how they got money, and she would just love to have something like that, and it just makes you so inspired. And it's sad, y'all, because I don't think it was far-fetched for Shirley to believe she could have had these things, but not dealing with somebody like Ernest. And especially not now, because everything is going downhill at this point. Now, we're going to have to all eat our words if Ernest is found not guilty for all of this. But I don't think we'll be eating our words. I don't think so. So in a separate phone call, she comes back sounding a little bit more dejected, a little bit sadder, because things have hit the blogs, things have hit the news. People really, really know now. Some of the charges have come out. Again, she doesn't believe these charges. She believes that her husband is being set up by somebody who is trying to bring him down. And this is when Steve gives Shirley the advice to, she doesn't word it exactly like this, but if we know Steve Harvey, Family Feud Steve Harvey, and Steve Harvey on his show Steve Harvey, we know how Steve probably said it, and it probably gave very much, Shirley, you need to leave him alone. He is going to bring you down. You too old to start over. She said that's what he told her. You are too old to start over. You need to start considering your assets. And he also brings up the morality clause in her contract. Now, I just, it does seem a little unfair because Shirley herself hasn't done anything wrong, but I'm guessing all of this would bring some kind of stain onto the show, especially if she's defending somebody that has the charges that Ernest has. So he is reminding her of that. He's just also telling her, like, you too old to start over, Shirley. You need to figure out what you're going to do, and you need to start protecting your assets. Now, at first, Ernest was offended. In an earlier phone call, he felt like Steve was trying to say he guilty, and he believed all of that stuff. But we get a different Ernest once Shirley comes back and says what Steve had to say to her. Now, mind you, y'all, Shirley is sad. You can tell she is looking for support from her husband, which he never seems to give, especially not on these phone calls. And Ernest is almost pushing Shirley away. He's telling her, I'm willing, you ain't did nothing wrong, and I understand if you just got to walk away, if you just got to step away, and start all over. You might just have to start all over. When I tell you I would have went through that phone on Ernest for telling me at 70 years old I got to start all over, I'd be mad right now if somebody told me I had to start all over. I'd be mad at 23 if somebody told me I had to start all over. And I ain't even have nothing at 23. I barely had an apartment to live in. But I bet you I know what? I'm not starting over. Okay? I done finished some stuff in life. I had at least finished college. I'm not starting over. Screw you. So that already pissed me off that Ernest was just telling her, you just gonna have to start all over. You just gonna have to start all over. This is the later part of my life. Do you understand me? This fourth quarter. This ain't damn halftime. So Shirley is just like, I don't know. Like, I just don't have anything. And I'm just gonna, and all that same old song that she did the last time. And Ernest just, Shirley, do you understand that man was pushing you away in that phone call? That he was pretty much saying, if I need to get out of your way, if I need to move out of your way. And they even bring up divorce in this conversation and ask if they're talking about divorce. And Shirley is just like, no, I'm not talking. I'm like, no, yes. Yes. He's trying to let you off the hook because he think he gonna get with old Sonya, but he already Sonya, if you ain't gonna get with Sonya unless you with the money team, okay? Because Sonya about that bread. I don't think she gonna be with Ernest just off the strength of him being Ernest. He gonna have to have more than that. But he keeps suggesting she can just start all over, and if your boss want to help you, excuse me, ain't nobody said nothing about Steve giving out no loans at this point in time, okay? Ain't nobody said nothing about Steve giving Shirley no money. He told Shirley that she needed to protect herself. And that part is actually really good advice to give. She does need to protect herself. So you're feeling bad for her again, right? Well, hold on, everybody. Before you start feeling bad, just hold on. All right. Now in another phone call, Shirley is running down on her daughter again. I was just like, oh my gosh. I don't know how much more of this I can take. They couldn't have had a good relationship prior to this. I just don't believe it. At this point in time, I do believe that Ernest, I think this is the call where Ernest is thinking that he might get a bond, right? And they're talking about Sheridan and how because Sheridan came down, some other charges were added. And he also says that they told him he has to stay away from Sheridan. And she was like, yeah, because of the restraining order. Oh, why she say that? Ernest is pissed that there is any talk of a restraining order. I actually think these are two separate conversations that they have about Sheridan, but I'm going to put them all together. He suggests that Sheridan is bipolar. That something is wrong with her, that she trying to move him out the way so she can get all of the benefits of Shirley, which is mostly a financial benefit. And Shirley explains how everybody, you know what, this is two separate phone calls, how everybody has turned against her, how she is so glad God revealed all of these things to her because she can see clearly now. You can see clearly about everything else, Shirley, but you can't see the same stuff that you're complaining about with your daughter, which is financial help, not growing up, not getting herself together, only calling me when rent is due, thinking I'm supposed to take care of her forever, won't hold her father accountable. All these things she running down on Sheridan, saying that she is glad God has revealed these things to her about all these people that are against her. These are the same things that are present in Ernest. Sheridan wants you to pay her bills. Ernest needs you to pay his for his lawyer. Sheridan think you're supposed to take care of her forever. Ernest feel like you're supposed to take care of him. Sheridan only call you when the rent due. Ernest only call you when he need financial support and spiritual counseling. Because everything else he going to the old mistress for. Sheridan won't hold her father accountable. You won't hold Ernest accountable. Okay, at this point. So it seems like God is opening up your eyes to everything but what's right in front of you. So I'm going to have to ask, baby, what God are we serving? What God are we serving? And so that actually was a separate phone call from the bond phone call. Now, once we get to the bond phone call and Ernest does find out about the whole restraining order, he's going off about that whole thing. He don't understand why Sheridan feel this way about him and all this other stuff. And they both talking about how they understand that they running game. People running game. The only people running game is Ernest. And the only person that can't see it is Shirley. But she can see everybody else's game, apparently. I don't know what kind of game, child. I don't know what kind of discernment Shirley has, right? And so when he's talking about his bond, he keep telling Shirley, I can't stop. I got to stay off these phones. I can't talk on these phones. I can't be talking on these phones. Oh, you've been talking on the phones quite enough, Ernest. Is what you don't know. You've already done so much talking on the phone that has hurt not only your case, but also your marriage, right? So at this point, the two of them are delusional. They're going back and forth about how not only do they got haters, okay, Shirley got haters, but everybody just doesn't see what type of person Ernest is. They trying to trump up some charges. I don't know why they hate him so much, this, that, and the third, right? And this is where, y'all, I almost did. You would have thought I was the Tasmanian devil. I almost went through here. Do you hear me? And now I'm about to rant. Y'all. Okay, keep up now. They make a separate phone call to Lamont. I thought Lamont was Ernest's son. That's not his son. That is the grandson, I believe. I believe that is the son of the son, if I'm not mistaken, right? They have to make a phone call to Lamont. They're on a three-way call. Lamont is also being helpful in this situation, seemingly to both Ernest and Shirley, right? So you hear him talking, you hear Shirley on three-way. They're both talking about the charges and how none of it is true. And you think Lamont is on both of their sides. But later on, we hear Lamont in a separate three-way phone conversation with Ernest and the mistress. So Lamont, and I do believe Ernest's son as well, knows about this mistress, and they are all involved with her as well. This is all about protecting Ernest. They don't really care about his marriage because Ernest don't care about his marriage. This is all about him, right? So when the mistress calls to get some information from Lamont, I'm not really sure. I guess she just needed to connect the calls. They all just on there cackling like a bunch of sinister criminals. Just, oh yeah, he like us. Yeah, I couldn't answer my phone. You know, I don't know. She might be the police. All of them just cackling, right? About the charges and also trying to figure out what things need to be done and all of that. Okay, they even bring up his lawyer talking about all of that, right? They actually have the same conversation involving Shirley, but it's not as sinister. It's not all that cackling and carrying on and goings on that they were doing with the mistress. This is where Shirley further pissed me off. And I want to say it's not her fault that she was pissing me off, because she was just trying to be encouraging for the situation. But at the same time, it really bothers me when people profess to have this strong relationship with God and know that God is leading them and guiding them and directing them and protecting them. Are you just not listening to God? Because if God is truly in your life, he had to be sending some warning signs out to you, Shirley. He had to be. So as they're talking about this whole situation and the lawyers and the charges, and the more Ernest is kind of getting heated or getting worked up, Shirley is, all things work together for the good of them who love the Lord. All things work. And I was like, who? Who are we talking about? Are we talking about Ernest? Are we talking about what things are working together? Shirley, are things working out for your good right now? Are things working out for your good? No, because of who you are attached to. She's alienated all of her family, got the nerve to say ain't nobody called to check on her. Now she's sitting here on this phone talking about all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord. And on the three-way call with Lamont, she got the audacity to compare Ernest to Job. You know, like Job, got to think of like Job. He was blameless. I said, now y'all not going to talk about it. Now I got a couple of favorite biblical characters, right? I got a few. David is one of them because we closely relate to each other. Right? Job is another one because I don't know if I could have went through the things that Job went through and never cursed God. And he never did. Even though his friends tried to convince him, never did. The Bible says that Job was a blameless man. He was righteous in all of his ways. Ernest is not that man. Ernest, if he gonna be compared to any biblical character, it need to be Judas, because he would trade you for 30 pieces of silver. I would say compare him to David, but because David was a man after God's own heart. So no. It's given Judas. It's given Cain. It's given Pontius Pilate. It's not given Job at all. Period. Not even Job's sons, daughters, not Job's cows. It's not given none of that. So for Shirley to sit there and say, let's think about Job. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You trying to give this man more God spirit than he even want to have. Because you almost got to remind him that he got a relationship with God. He like, oh yeah, we thank God. Yep, you right. Shirley, please stop it. And let's talk about the number that the church has done to black women. I would love to go there. I sure would. And I say black women because I'm a black woman and this is what I specifically see. One thing I cannot stand about the church is they will convince you that you need to put all of your focus, all of your mental strategy, all of your hope and trust into one day finding this godly man that is going to choose you and pick you and marry you, and y'all ride off in the sunset and live happily ever after. They got whole boot camps available for becoming a wife. And why do I know? Because I grew up in church and I done been to some of them. Honey, you couldn't tell me I wasn't going to have no husband. I had laid myself down on the ground to be somebody's doormat willingly because I wanted somebody that bad. But one thing the church doesn't prepare you for is how to navigate relationships. Sorry, let me not say they don't. Some churches don't. How to navigate relationships. And they definitely, they just now starting this conversation in the last couple years. They don't teach you nothing about dating except for don't get that coochie up. Yep, that's all you're gonna get. Make sure after the lobster or whatever, don't get that coochie up. All right, no matter where he take you, no matter what you do, don't give that coochie up. They put the fact that as long as he loved God, they put that right in the front, right in the forefront. We don't really discuss anything else, right? And so a lot of times what we end up doing is we start bringing God into our mess. We bring God into mess that he never ordained for us to be in, with people he never ordained for us to be with. But then we want to think that God is going to bless us in the midst of the storm. This ain't even no storm he brought you. This ain't even a storm he planned for you to be in. You use your own free will to get here. This ain't even nowhere you supposed to be. And it reminded me of the part in I know y'all love y'all good sis Betty Wright, but Betty Wright was a fool. May she rest in peace. Okay? But it reminded me of the part in After the Pain when Betty said, I don't think I can get my vocals right this time of night, but you see, God is gonna bless me. It is my jam, y'all. For loving you. Hey, God is. It reminded me of the part in After the Pain when Betty says, see if I can get my vocals right. You see, God is gonna bless me. Hey, for loving you. For all the times that you treated me wrong and I kept on being true. Hell no, Betty. Hell no. God is not going to bless y'all for that. You do know this, right? God is not going to bless you for sticking beside a man that he did not want you to be with anyway. He is not going to bless you for continuing not to use your discernment and putting your blinders on. He is not going to bless you for continuing to lay up beside somebody that you know is doing dirt, not doing right, and comparing them to Job. God is not going to bless you in the middle of this mess that you put yourself in. He's just not going to do it. I don't care what Betty told you. And I want y'all right now today to stop putting my Lord and Savior in the midst of y'all bullshit. Okay, I didn't mean to put God and the BS in the same sentence, but you know, sometimes it just go like that. The Lord know my heart. But seriously, y'all, it's infuriating. Stop it. Shirley was really making me mad with that. All right, y'all. And lastly, we just kind of get more of him talking to the mistress. We find out that the mistress was on one of the calls. She was on the other line when they were talking to Shirley. Like, everybody knows everybody. Everybody is in cahoots with each other. Everybody is here for Ernest, and nobody is here for Shirley. And it's freaking sad. It is freaking sad because we know who is footing the bill for the lawyer, and that is Shirley. And I'm going to end it here. And we're going to talk about some of the other calls. We also going to talk about what happened on the Steve Harvey Morning Show in her own personal strawberry letter. Y'all, this is making me mad. This is making me angry. But at this point in time, what are y'all thinking? Do y'all think Shirley is just crazy? Do y'all think Shirley is just a woman in love? You just a fool. You know you in love. Like, seriously, y'all. And have y'all ever been this fool for a man? I have been this fool for a man. But I was in my 20s. I was in my 20s. And that's all I'm going to say. I'll see y'all for the next one. Bye.